Hello and welcome to the United Stand. How are you all doing? Big news around Anthony Martial, which we'll start off with, but also had a really interesting message that came through about 10 minutes ago, which fits in with some of the stuff I've heard from the likes of Duncan Castles and in some outlets today, but then there's a couple of bits that don't. So I'll be reading that out for you in a couple of minutes. But let's start off. Anthony Martial has flown home. I don't know why I'm smiling. Anthony Martial has flown home from the US tour and will not be returning. We fly back ourselves in a week. We've got Real Madrid in a week's time, and then that's the end of the tour. So why has he flown home? He's flown home because his girlfriend, not his wife, that's a previous relationship, is about to give birth. So he's flown back to be with her. It's personal reasons, and I don't think anybody can have a problem with that. The vast majority of what I've seen in response to this on social media from Manchester United fans is quite positive. There's some people saying good because they want him to go, but there's nothing about he shouldn't be flying back. At the end of the day, football's important, but he's on the other side of the country, other side of the planet. His girlfriend's about to give birth, and he wants to be with her. And at the end of the day, it would be a very, very harsh employer to say that he couldn't do that. The thing that's annoyed me a bit about it is that so many of the news outlets have spun it literally. They've put one sentence about that, and then they're straight into that's the end of Martial. It's infuriating. Mourinho, he's going to leave and all that. And I think, look, at the end of the day, it is a personal reason why he's going, and Jose Mourinho, by all accounts, has allowed him to go. What it does for the US tour, because, we wish Anthony Martial and his girlfriend all the best in the birth of their son, but we are a Manchester United fan channel and you are Manchester United fans, and what it does for the US tour is just make it even more of a waste of time. I think Jose Mourinho's press conference after the match tonight is going to be very, very interesting. And remember, we will be doing a watch-along. The live comments for that and the stream will open up as soon as this show ends. So we will be live in the early hours UK time with a watch-along. But what Jose's got to say after that's going to be quite interesting. The reality is that it means that we've really only got Alexis Sanchez and Juan Mata as experienced forwards. No Martial, no Lingard, no Rashford, no Lukaku now, and we're really threadbare. And this just harks back to me, why have we not gone and got these signings that we needed to get in? Because I'd play Mason Greenwood tonight. I think he's a good young player, but he's 16. I mean, some of these lads, they're just not, Jose's actually right with some of them. Yeah, we want to see him, but they're not ready to play in the Premier League when you're trying to win a title. And it just makes Jose's job even harder, especially when we're playing teams like AC Milan. Liverpool on Saturday night have got Mane, Salah, their new signings, Keita, Fabinho, and a lot of their players back. They've got a strong team and they're building momentum for the start of the season, and they're playing us on Saturday night. We've got Matic back. That's it. Fred's still in Brazil. I thought he was going to be back at the start of the week. De Gea's not there yet. Lindelof's not there yet. So forget AC Milan tonight. We won't even have any new players back for the Liverpool game either. So it is because I can sort of see Jose's frustration here, and it is a little bit of a problem. On the point of Anthony Martial, I think, Dave, I've been saying for a long time, and I know a lot of people won't like this, but I have said for a long time, I think Anthony Martial's leaving Manchester United. And I think Jose Mourinho is quite happy with that. I don't think the club are happy with that, and I don't think a lot of fans are happy with that. I'm not happy with that, but I think he's going. And I remember doing a show at the end of the season, probably April time, and I said, really like Anthony Martial. I think he's a fantastic talent, but he has to leave Manchester United. He's got to leave Manchester United for his own development. He's got to leave Manchester United because he doesn't get on with Mourinho, and he's got to leave Manchester United because Mourinho will not like him either. It's a sad thing, but I think Martial's looked at it like I and many other fans have looked at it and said, look, you can love United, you can love the fans, you can love the club. Doesn't matter. If you've got a manager in charge of you that doesn't rate you, then you've got to get away. Especially when you're 22 and you've got development years ahead of you, he's got to get away. So I don't think him leaving to go back to the birth of his son, is real news, really. I mean, the reason I wanted to bring it up was because how thin it leaves us on the tour. But that's not Martial's fault, and that's not Mourinho's fault. I think it probably does symbolise the end of Martial at Manchester United, because by the time Martial links up with the team, everyone else will be back. Pogba, Lukaku, everyone else like that. Sanchez is now going to get 3 games to play. It's sort of like, it's very sad, isn't it? It's because Martial would have had game time over the next 3 games to, maybe win Mourinho round or anything like that. But I think that ship had sailed. Anyway, I don't think it may. To be honest, I'm going to be totally blunt. I don't think it matters if Martial played in the next 3 games or not. I think he's definitely leaving Manchester United. For those people who thought that he was going to stay, I suppose you might now be thinking that's the end of the road, because by the time Martial's back playing games for United, because his fitness is going to drop, he's not going to be training with the team, he's not going to be playing games. By the time he's back doing that, maybe in a week and a half, everyone else is back. He's on the bench for the Leicester game, isn't he? And that's that, isn't it? So I think Martial's going to go, but I've thought that for a long time. He's not even going, says Ryan C. I love it. I love the positivity around that. If we don't buy Sandro and Perisic, Jose will be playing part of the bus with that tall toilet brush in the middle, says Gibran Khan. Blame the board, says Godaf. And I know what you're saying, Mark, but we can't lose a player like Martial. It's silly, says Maliki. Yeah, I agree with you, but the manager has made it abundantly clear. And I retweeted something off the United stand just before I came live from a Chelsea fan, a Chelsea account, and they were saying, not surprised that Mourinho's turning the Manchester United fans against Martial. He did exactly the same with the Chelsea fans and De Bruyne. He knows exactly what he's doing. Jose's had his mind long made up on Martial, says Manchester Skulls 18. Yeah, I think he had it made up probably 18 months ago, to be honest with you. And Martial will stay. I'd love to know why, more than the statement of Martial will stay, I'd love to know why you think he's staying, because I'd love to have a bit of that positivity pie, but I cannot for the life of me see where that comes from at all. I just do not see any reason why you'd think that that would be the case. But let me. I don't want to move off from this for too long, because I did say it was sort of like a tease at the start of the video, wasn't it? So some of this is quoted from Duncan Castles, but some of this I haven't read from Duncan Castles' tweets that have been floating around all day. So I'm just going to read this list of things that I've been sent, and some of it you will know, some of you won't have even read any of it, and I'll tell you what I've heard today from where I know it is, and the other stuff which I haven't read, and maybe you'll know it. So I was sent this about half an hour ago. And basically, it's a 6-point summary of what's gone wrong with Manchester United this summer, based on, not speculation, it's from journalists. So, Mourinho wanted 5 signings. In fact, I'm going to shout him out. At JFRKO he sent me the list, and then I said, where is it from? He's literally just replied and says it was taken from Duncan Castles' podcast. So this is all from Duncan Castles. Now, this is the journalist who was right about Dalot. He was right about Matic last summer. He also said we've done personal terms with Sandro. He's now saying we're not getting Sandro. But this is the 6-point thing that he said. Mourinho wanted 5 signings this summer. Fullbacks, right winger, centre back and a centre midfielder. He identified signings quite some time ago. So obviously they've not been delivered. 5 bloody signings and he's got 1. Mourinho has given up on a new left back now, even though he does not want to go with just Young and Shaw. Targets are just a centre back and a right winger. So he's not got what he wanted, which is what we were talking about last night. Mourinho wants an experienced right winger in either Willian or Perisic. Board are not willing to chase either because of age and price tag. Chelsea apparently rejected 60 million bids for Willian. Well, that's way. To be honest with you, I don't know what you lot think. As we go along, we'll summarise this, but I don't. I think Willian for 60 million is. I think the board are right there. You know, I think this is the thing. It's a pendulum swing, isn't it? Because some of the, it's not totally Jose, it's not totally the board. But I agree with the board on this. I don't think we should be going for Willian based on age. Alternatives are Sarr and some French under 21 kid. Malcolm was apparently one of those identified as a right wing target several months back, but the board dithered. There we go. So Sarr was somebody we spoke about. Plays for Senegal. Rennes, I think he's at the moment in France, about 20. I don't know whether that's true or not, but there you go. Mourinho feels the board are not desperate to win the title and happy with the top 4 spot. That's why he's so grumpy. He does not understand why Woodward has done nothing after signing Fred. He is also grumpy about injuries and not having his squad with him. Well, that explains it. If that's true, that explains it. You know, I'd be grumpy if I was him. If I was at a club that's just happy with top 4, but many fans, you included, have speculated that as well, that we are owned by people who are more interested in the money you get for top 4 and spending that little bit extra to be champions. Apparently the ESPN interview was aimed at as a challenge at Pogba and to his entourage. Mourinho feels that Pogba is too distracted by his commercial entourage. Pogba did integrate better and had settled his difference at the end of the season, but Raiola is desperately trying to offer Pogba to other big clubs. and is not on good terms with Mourinho. And Martial wants to leave and has made up his mind he's going. He has concrete offers from Bayern Munich and from Chelsea. So that's all from Duncan Castles. And whether that's all gospel or not, I think it's fair to say that some of it is probably true. I don't think that back Jose and board out, says Manchester United. I mean, it's an interesting interpretation. I just think that when you summarise that, it's that Mourinho is frustrated and grumpy, and he's doing what he's doing publicly to portray to the board and Woodward that he's not happy, because I think they want him to be. I think the board are happy with top forward, and they want Mourinho to be happy with that. So maybe there's a twist there from Mourinho that he's being grumpy, not to infuriate the fans, but to get the fans infuriated, because what's actually happened with Mourinho's, it's quite a clever ploy if it's true, because I've been angry, you've been angry, frustrated, United, what you're doing, constantly going on about it. And Mourinho has, sort of been a sacrificial lamb in a way. He's taking the brunt of it, but also he's diverting a lot of pressure and attention from the negativity, building the negativity in the fan base and making them point at the club as well as Jose. So Jose's taking it on his shoulders, but we're also taking a pop at the club. I think it's encouraging that Jose Mourinho wanted 5 signings, because I think many of us felt that we needed that. It's a disgrace that yet again he's not been delivered with the players that he wants, and it's 2 weeks tomorrow at 5 o'clock that this transfer window closes. I think it's a disgrace that we're not getting a left back, and reading at that, it's not Jose's fault. He wanted a left back. He's got Young and Shaw. He wanted a left back. He's not going to get a left back. That sounds to me now that it's on Woodward and it's not on Jose. To me, the biggest problem I have this summer is that we didn't get a left back. And we can still get a left back, but I still think that was the one position we needed to go and get sorted out. And I know a lot of people are on about a centre-back. I don't feel that a centre-back's as essential as a left-back, because next season, if we didn't get Maguire or Alderweireld or whoever we're going to sign, we'd still be able to play Bay and Lindelof. If we do get Alderweireld and playing with Bay, we're still playing Ashley Young at left-back, and that is not good enough. It's not good enough. The left-back is not good enough, and we should have gone and got a left-back. And to me, that is a disgrace, because especially if, like many people said, we'd agreed terms with Sandro, it was all about agreeing the fee with Juventus, and we've not agreed the bloody fee. That is a joke. We could have had a top-class left-back starting in our team next season. Instead, we're going to get Ashley Young, and that is something I'm going to hammer home all day, every day next season, from the first game to the last, that we should have got a left back, and we could have got a left back, and it sounds like Mourinho wanted a left back as well. On the right midfield position, I've got to say, nothing is ever cut and dry, is it? It's never totally somebody's fault. There's always two sides to a story. And actually, this is where I do disagree with Jose, because if he wants Willian, I agree with the club. I agree with the club on that. Spending 50, 60 million pounds on a 30-year-old who's massively inconsistent. I'm sorry, Jose. I know he's a favourite of yours. I know that's probably why you want him. But you've already brought Matic in, who's knocking on 30's door. We've got Sanchez knocking on 30's door. We can't keep buying key players who are nearly 30, because then give them a year or two and they're going to become irrelevant. So I do agree with the board on that, not stumping up the money. That's probably one of the few things I do agree with. Having said that, if we could get Perisic, I know he's 29, I probably would go for that. Swap Martial for Alba plus cash, Glazer's out, says Pete Phillips. Well, the Martial thing is interesting, isn't it? Because obviously I was speaking about Martial at the start of the stream, and I've been saying for a long time that I think Martial wants to go, and I think it's a difficult decision for him, but people seem to want to ignore what his agent said. It's not the Sun, it's not the Telegraph, it's not Di Marzio, it's his own agent who spelled it out 6 weeks ago. His agent came out and said he wants to leave Manchester United. That's his agent. It's not some bloody, it's not his paper shop or his bloody Tesco shopper. This is his agent, his football agent for his job, saying he wants to leave Manchester United. It was abundantly clear to me at that point that he was going to go. And why did he want to go? Because he was disillusioned by the fact that Sanchez was signed. That was there. So what's changed? What was ever going to change? And the thing is as well, the only thing that was ever going to keep Anthony Martial at Manchester United was if Jose Mourinho said, I'm going to start you every game. You're going to play up front or you're going to play on the left wing. Well, that's never going to happen anyway, because he's always going to pick Sanchez ahead of him, and he's always going to pick Lukaku ahead of him, and he's not going to put him on the right wing. So Martial going was always going to go, and it's very, very sad. But we probably will end up this summer in a situation, and God, if you'd told me this in May, I probably would have cried. We probably are going to end up in a situation where we buy Fred, we maybe get a centre-back and a right midfielder, but we keep Fellaini and we sell Martial. That is a terrible summer from 20 points behind. I mean, Fred's a good signing, a centre-back's going to be welcome, and depending on who the right midfielder is, that's good. But Martial going and Fellaini staying, just ridiculous. So it's been another bad summer so far. We've got 2 weeks to try and rescue something from it, but it has been a bad summer for Manchester United, and I wonder. I really, really do wonder. Might have put it in public to get some promises from the club about his game time, says Binge Stock. Yes, I think, yeah, I'm sure if Anthony Martial had come back to pre-season training and Jose Mourinho had said, look, I'm sorry I messed you about last season, but you are my number one left winger and I'm going to put Sanchez on the right and you will play, I want you to be my number left one winger. I think Martial would sign the contract, but Jose's not going to do that. I think it's as simple with Jose Mourinho that he doesn't like Martial because he's Van Gaal's signing, and no matter what happens, if Martial's a success at Manchester United, he's always going to be Van Gaal's signing. And I think Jose is that bitter. I think he is a bit like that. So there we go. Give Woodward his P45, says Ruth Myers. Well, Ed Woodward would never get his P45 at Manchester United because he does a fantastic job around the business side of things. But what he's done around the football side of things is poor. Last season, we didn't get Perisic and Mourinho wanted him. This season, it sounds even worse. It sounds like we wanted 5 players and he might only get 3, maybe even 2, which is just not good enough. But the left-back's the one for me. The left-back is the one for me. To not get the left-back was a bloody joke. Also against Jose, what I would say is that the ESPN article that he did slating Pogba, look, he may be doing that to motivate Pogba, he may well be doing that, but if we as fans are reading that as that's not a good thing, Jose, you shouldn't have done that, then maybe that was a little bit misguided. But I do think there is brilliant method in the madness around his grumpiness, because if you were that, we don't know this is categorically true, but Duncan Castles has always been rumoured to be Mourinho's mouthpiece in the press for some reason. And if Mourinho, as I said last night, we did a show on it, didn't we? I was like, I'm just confused by what Jose's doing. Well, this sort of would make sense if he is like being grumpy and making the fan base negative because he's frustrated with the board, then that suddenly does make a lot of sense. Is Sanchez not a hard-working right winger? Says Matthew. Sorry, my nose just keeps my nose is blocked up, and every time I'm talking, it's dropping down. So I'm having to sniff every now and again. So sorry about that. But I don't know what that's in context to, Matthew West, about Sanchez being a hard-working right winger. Well, he could be. Yeah, he could solve that problem. I agree with. I do get what you're thinking there. But Jose doesn't want to play him there. He could be the hard-working right winger. You're 100% right, but he doesn't seem to want to play him there for some reason. But the interesting line about Jose's grumpiness is that the board his perception of the board is that they are happy to finish top 4 and they don't want to win a title. Well, this has been your perception and thought around our board for a number of years. When we're not in the top 4, they're chucking money around like confetti to get us back in the top 4. When we are in the top 4, we always seem to get a couple of signings, but never everything. And I just think that this summer, more than ever, probably the most important summer in the Glazers' history, actually, of Manchester United owners, is that we've just lost the title by 20 points. And what are we going to do to try and close that gap? And I think they've looked at it and gone, well, if we get lucky, we might do it. But we were second. We're getting all the sponsor monies. We were second. Do we need to spend a load of money to topple Man City? And this is it. And we'll keep saying it till the cows come home. Businessmen running a football club. Businessmen who don't even support said football club running football club. That is the problem Manchester United have. I don't think Maguire and Willian would improve United that much, says Johnny White. Well, I've heard a lot of people saying Maguire and Perisic. The interesting thing about Maguire is, and I sort of touched on it this morning on the Transfer Daily, is that before this World Cup, who would have mentioned Harry Maguire as a Manchester United centre-back? I wouldn't. I've not mentioned Harry Maguire as a Manchester United centre-back. He's been a good centre-back for Leicester, but I would not have mentioned him. And a good World Cup, and suddenly he's like the answer. And that, in some ways, is a concern. Rebic, I don't think we're in for Rebic. Rebic isn't good enough. He's not good enough. His domestic CV is not great, and his World Cup wasn't that good either. It was okay. So he's not one. Yerry Mina from Colombia, basically can't even get in the Barcelona team, had a decent World Cup, but Colombia got knocked out in the first group stage. Again, linked to Manchester United. No thanks, not good enough. Boateng looks like he's going to PSG, which is good. But centre-back wise, I think at the end of the day, in a long-winded sort of way, because I don't know where all the Alderweireld stories came from at the start of the summer, because we definitely weren't doing anything about it because we didn't think it was possible. The only reason Alderweireld is suddenly possible for Manchester United is because he wants to leave Spurs, and they know that next summer he'll go for next to no money. So it's whether Spurs bite the bullet and let him go. And that could happen. But there is literally, when it comes to the transfer window in Manchester United, there is literally nothing going on. There is nothing. There is no credible source. There is nothing about any player, and there's 2 weeks to go. This might sound harsh, but since Sanchez came to United, he has only been a salary thief, in my opinion. He has to deliver this season. No excuses, says Luke Skywalker. Well, I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, Andrew Ellis says Koulibaly for me. I think it'd be a very good centre-back, Andrew, but didn't Napoli say that they've refused a £100 million bid, which is he's not worth that much. Maguire did score against us at Christmas, Shay. I'm not saying Maguire's a bad centre-back. Please don't say that, because I like Maguire. What I'm saying is, who back in May would have said Harry Maguire should be a centre-back at Manchester United? I know a few people did, but the vast majority wouldn't have said it. And that is the situation that now is suddenly, let's get Harry Maguire. I still feel that Lindelof and Bailly could do a job, and I still feel that a left-back is way more important. And I still feel that the three things that are going to really hurt me when this transfer window shuts is that Martial goes, which I'll be devastated by, but I've accepted it's going to happen. Fellaini stays, which I can barely say those words. I can't believe that happened. And then no left back. I mean, for me, that is a hat-trick of disaster at Manchester United. And anything else we do is nice, but those three things are just shambolic. And Jose's at fault for one of those. He actually is at fault for two. It's Jose's fault Martial's leaving. It's Jose's fault that Fellaini's staying. It's not his fault we haven't signed a left back. The signings aren't his fault apart from Fellaini. People who leave are on him, but the signings are on Woodward, and so it's not. And I'm quite comfortable with that. I don't know whether you are. I want to take some of your comments now, but I'm quite comfortable that the blame for what's going on at Manchester United should not be focused on Jose Mourinho. I think he's at fault for some things, but I think the board and Woodward are at fault for others, and we should remember that, because you could get into a situation where you totally and utterly focus your frustration on Jose Mourinho when the reality is that the owners and Woodward are culpable as well. And you should always keep that in mind, because it's not... Jose could get the sack, and some of these problems will still be prevalent next summer when the next manager's not getting the signings that they want either. So how about making Sanchez playing attacking midfield and Martial at left and Lingard at right, says Ruben Hartz. Well, the interesting thing about Alexis Sanchez is that we've got 3 games in a week. We've got AC Milan in the early hours of this morning, we've got Liverpool on Saturday night, and then we've got Real Madrid in a week's time. All we've got is Mata and Sanchez as forwards. We're not going to get anybody else. Rashford's not going to come over, Lukaku's not here, Lingard's not coming, Martial won't be back, so we've got Sanchez and Mata. I mean, I like Mata, but Mata's not really a forward, is he? You can stick him on the right midfield. Alexis Sanchez can play up front, but Mourinho really wants him to play on the left. I mean, who are we going to play up front in these games? It's a massive opportunity, and hopefully we'll see Mason Greenwood play. And it could be something, and I don't think this will happen, but we might get really lucky and something spectacular could happen with Greenwood, where he's up against Bonucci tonight and he scores a hat-trick. And then he does it the same against Liverpool, and then he does the same against Real Madrid, and you think, wow, a star is born. A bit like Rashford did, sort of come from nowhere. And that could happen, and I'm excited to see if that could happen. But the reality is, it's probably not going to happen. Sanchez has got a lot of pressure on him right now, because we're on US tour, and he needs to be great next season, but he also needs to be the leader now, because we've got nothing going forward at all. I mean, the midfield always looked a little bit weak, but the front line is massively weak now. So I'm very, very excited to see what Manchester United are going to do against AC Milan and Liverpool especially, because we're down to the bare bones. And you can sort of empathise with Jose there. What makes you think Lindelof can do a job just because Douglas will? Well, yeah, just because. I think he can. I've always, apart from his debut against Huddersfield, I think Lindelof has got better and better in a Manchester United shirt. And I'm not judging him on the World Cup. I'm judging him what I've seen in a Manchester United shirt. I think Lindelof needs to play week in, week out. And I think Lindelof and Bailly would be a really good partnership. I think in the first few games you might get the odd mistake, but how many points and trophies did Phil Jones cost us last season? And Jose still keeps picking him. So I would go with Lindelof and Bailly. I'm massively concerned about the left back position. He will never pick Luke Shaw ahead of Ashley Young, and Ashley Young's not good enough. I'm devastated that we're not going to get a left back. I really am, especially when Sandro was done. Personal terms agreed, and we just didn't pay the money. I can believe it because we've got businessmen running the club and it's calculator management instead of football management. But we didn't sign Perisic because we wouldn't pay a little bit extra. We're not signing Sandro because we're not paying a little bit extra. It's a joke. It's a joke that we're missing out on players. And Sandro, he might go to PSG now. He might stay at Juventus. But we are missing out on players that we need to save a little bit of money. It's a joke. We're a football club. Football should be football. As long as you're not going bust. A football club should be a football club. It shouldn't be a football club should not be a vehicle for somebody who doesn't support that football club to come in and just make loads of money from it. And that's what sickens me about Manchester United. And that is the bottom line with Manchester United, is that we are a football club, but the people who own us use us to make a lot of money. And that is wrong, because the football club and what it's all about and the history is about you, the fans. It's about the players and the things and the history of the club. And it's about Manchester United and what it's all about. And unfortunately, it's now become a vehicle for non-Manchester United fans who own this club to just pull money out that we throw in. I mean, they never should have been allowed to buy this club. They bought it on a debt. They pay themselves massive dividends every year. We're still in debt, and the money that they make is because of you and me. And there's millions of us, and loads of money go into that club directly from us or from sponsors who want our eyes, and they pull it off for themselves. And what did they ever do? I mean, are the Glazers part of the fabric of Manchester United? No. Are the Glazers part of why Manchester United are great? No. They were given a bloody golden ticket where they were able to buy our club on debt. And ever since, they've not paid that debt off and they've sucked money out. And it's wrong. It's so wrong. And I don't really have the reality is what frustrates me. I'm not on some personal crusade here. What frustrates me about it is, and I'd love to be in a room with them and tell them, my big problem with it is that, yes, you could run this club and make money, but you don't need to take as much money as you do out the club, because we need money on the pitch. It's our club. At Manchester United, when we're not buying Perisic because we don't want to spend 5 million more, when we're not signing Sandro because we don't want to spend 50 million and Richarlison's going for 45 to Everton, that's wrong. That's wrong. You're penny pinching to put money in your pocket. You're using something that's got nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing to do with you. Are you Manchester United fans? No. Are you even football fans? Probably not. But you are using this great institution that people absolutely adore to make millions and millions for your own pocket. It's bloody wrong. It's wrong. And I don't put the blame just at their door as well. The Premier League never should have allowed them to buy it. And Manchester United never should have sold to them in the bloody first place. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. If you're them though, what a brilliant situation. You buy something that you can't afford and you're allowed to buy it on debt, and then year on year on year on year, the club gets bigger and bigger, the fan base gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and more money comes in that you take out, and you never pay the debt off, because actually we're not bothered about the club. Maintain the debt. What we want is the dividends, and it's really, really wrong. It really, really is wrong. But what can you do about it? What can you do about it? Because we're in a situation now. Well, it's not even now. It's been going on for years. But the last 2 summers, like I say, we didn't get Perisic because we didn't want to pay a little bit more. We're not getting Sandro because we don't want to pay a little bit more. Do you know how much money comes into this club? Do you know how much dividends the Glazers will take this year from Manchester United? And I guarantee you it will be multiple millions more than that little bit extra it would have took to get Sandro. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. But what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Here I am wearing the new shirt. Still money going into the club because that's what we love. It's our institution, it's our club. But how do you stop this every summer where we're sat there going, and Mourinho will feel the same? Where is the money? Where is the money to get the players that we need? And the hypothetical thing would be, and if somebody was clever enough to do it, I would urge every United fan to do it if they could afford it. If we could somehow get an amount of money up to buy the club and get it back owned by the fans, I'd never want that money back. I just want the club to be self-sufficient reinvest in what it makes into the club, into the infrastructure, into the stadium. I don't want masses of money going off to shareholders and people like that who've got sod all to do with the club. It really irritates me, but I've gone off on one there. Luke Skywalker says, I agree with you, Mark. Everything is off, not Jose's fault, even though I can't stand him. However, there is no excuse to play such boring football with the squad we have. He has had time to improve. I agree with you, Luke. Look, nothing's ever black and white, is it? There's always a grey area in the middle, and that's true. Look, Jose is at fault for Martial. He's at fault for keeping Fellaini. He's at fault for the football we play. I agree with that. He's got to take responsibility for it. But also, when I've just spoken about that, which I haven't spoken about for a long time about the Glazers, that's not Jose's fault. That's not Jose's fault. If we had the right sort of ownership, they would be able to go to Jose. There's 500 million for the summer. Crack on. We might still play bad football, but we get the players that he wanted. Bob Marley says, I generally think Jose wants to go to Chelsea because Hazard might. No, Martial wants to go. Look, Martial might want to go to Chelsea, but if Manchester United sell him to an English club, I'll be stunned. Absolutely stunned. I just cannot see that happening at all. When he kept Fellaini, I lost respect for Jose, says Sonan. Yeah, he has got a weird, very, very weird obsession with Marouane Fellaini, I've got to admit. Oliver Banks says, I'll be up at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Hopefully it won't be boring, says Oliver Banks. Well, we'll all be chatting together, won't we? So it won't be boring. What if Jose not signing a left-back is finally him trusting Luke Shaw, says Christopher Vaz. Christopher, I don't want to shoot anyone's dreams down. I really don't. But I'm going to tell you something now. There's no way Luke Shaw's playing ahead of Ashley Young next season. It's not going to happen. The one thing about Jose is that it's written in the stars. He doesn't change his ideas, and he doesn't really like Luke Shaw. He doesn't like Martial. Luke Shaw's decided he's not going to go, and that might be why we can't sign a left back, because the club may well have said, if Luke Shaw's staying, we're not signing you a left back. So, and that's Mourinho's fault for the way that he treated Luke Shaw last season, because Luke Shaw's got all the power now. But he will never play Luke Shaw ahead of Ashley Young. So if you're optimistic that might happen, that's great, but it won't happen. The same thing with Pereira. Pereira can be brilliant on this tour, but he won't start many games next season. He probably won't even be on the bench, because when push comes to shove, Jose will go with that 30-year-old magnet. If you're close to 30, he'll trust you, because I think his midfield three may well be Matic, Pogba and Fred. I think we'll see Fellaini start the season. If not, Fellaini will be on the bench. Herrera will be on the bench. So where would Pereira be? Pereira won't even be on the bench for United next season. And these things people get optimistic about, but I really don't think it'll happen. Can you do a recap, please, says Anthony Manzawan. Well, basically, Martial's flown home because of the birth of his child is about to happen. I believe that will be the end of Martial, because I think I felt it was the end before anyway. But I disagree with people trying to make him leaving to see the birth of his child the reason he's leaving. I think that was set in stone a long time ago. And then we've got this list of things that have come out that Mourinho wanted 5 signings, that he's given up on a left back now because they're just not getting the signings that he wanted. He does want Willian or Perisic, but the board won't pay the money for 30-year-olds. He feels that the board are not desperate to win the title and they're happy with top 4, and that's why he's been so grumpy recently. And that Martial wants to leave and has made up his mind, and that he probably will end up going to Bayern Munich. So that's your summary for you there. So yeah, that's pretty much it, isn't it? I'm just going to do something here that will... Oh, God, what have I just done? That's not tomorrow, isn't it? It's tomorrow, that's why. I will be live at 3:30 tomorrow morning, UK time, with a watch-along for Manchester United versus AC Milan. It's going to be a very interesting one. Hopefully, we'll see another masterclass from Pereira, and I would like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see Fosu Mensah playing at right back, to be honest with you. If I see Darmian playing at right back, I think I'll probably cry. The Pigeon community can't take another death, but also I can't take another game of Darmian playing at right back. So hopefully Fosu Mensah will play there. Who are we going to play up front? It's not even for the second half. Who are we going to play up front? Will he play Chong again, which I'd like to see? But the great thing is AC Milan are a better team than anything that we've played. So let's see how we do in a game like that, because it's a big opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've set the stream up for you. So if you are about today and you're not going to have any sleep or anything like that, then if you go to the homepage after here, I'm just going to make sure that it is there because it should be. Manchester United versus AC Milan live stream watch along. Yep, it is on the homepage now. You can get that if you want to get involved in the live comments. It's the picture of Luke Shaw, which is fantastic. That has worked. Good, good, good. But I've enjoyed that show. Thanks everyone for watching. Please do drop a like on the video. I will be live tonight at in a few hours' time for the watch along for AC Milan. So join me for that. I think it's going to be interesting, and I'm sure we'll have time to chat further about that. Sydney says, don't you work? It's a weekday and you're going to be up at 3:30 a.m. Mate, my job's changed a little bit, so I'm working from home tomorrow. But last year, I was getting up and doing it and then going to an office and doing stuff. So no, I can get by. But, I've had 3 kids, so I get used to a lack of sleep. But it's Manchester United, isn't it? It's not like we do it every week. Some people do it every week. So great shout out to those lot. That's why I enjoy doing it as well, because it's putting in that hard graft that some fans around the world do every single game when the season starts. There's not going to be a transfer daily tomorrow at 7 a.m. Just let people know that we will do a transfer daily, but it will be done at midday UK time, because what will happen tomorrow is the game kicks off at 4 a.m. UK time. That will finish at 6 a.m. Then I'll do a match reaction for those people who didn't watch it and they get up, so you can just watch my match reaction, which will be a 10-minute summary of what's happened. And then midday, I'll do the transfer daily there instead of doing it at 7 a.m, which will literally be about half an hour after the match reaction. It doesn't make any sense. So thanks everyone for watching. Please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you on the watch along in a few hours time. And if you want to get involved in the chat on the watch along live stream, that is open. The chat section is open. The stream is there waiting for me to go live in a few hours. Thanks everyone for watching. I think the lesson from today is you may be Jose out, you may be Jose in. He is at fault for some things, but there's another villain in the piece, and that is the board. And I'll speak to you all in a bit. AC Milan, Manchester United. Looking forward to it. Thanks for watching.